Welcome one and all to another amazing night here in Tranquility.
We absolutely are in for a treat of a match here tonight, no question about it.
And the grenades from Pomku eliminate everybody on the field.
Now I'm between something as well is going to be applied as a death block them, and it's going to be huge. Fighting three.
The double kill with the Bastion ulti? Alright, I see you guys.
For B-Well, look to find a stick there, finds the stick, they find two with it!
Those who find the picks will save the fight, and they don't really need to save what they've already won.
And Cam with the four-man punch off the map!
Experience tranquility.
Welcome everybody, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. It is week 7 of season 11 of Tranquility. I'm Huntertain. Telm over here on the right. It is the Ascendant here today, and while it is week 7, we are headed into the first matches of stage 2. Now, both teams today performed pretty good within their very first stage, but they have quite a test in front of them, especially two tough teams that have to battle it out right in that first match.
Yeah, and we look at Atlas Arcadia, only had one loss throughout the first 5 weeks of the tournament, and it was the Second Chance, which is one of the best teams in this tier. And then you look at Desert Flame, they have 2 losses to 2 very good teams, Throwing or Bad, and I'm trying to remember, I think the other one was to Volcanic, which again is also one of the top teams in this tier. So, I mean, both of these teams, they could still be very good. I mean, this pool puts them in a good chance for playoffs too, based on seeding. And that's really what you're playing for here. You're playing to get a better seed throughout these next couple of weeks for Stage 2. But, you know, looking at these rosters, Atlas Arcadia has a lot of Tranquility veterans, and we're going to see a lot of them today. I think some of the main ones we're going to see are Star Platinum, who has been one of the better tank players in whatever tier they've been in. They started out in started out in Harmony tier, I think, at one point. But I mostly know them from Discord tier and Transcendence tier, and now they're in the Ascendant tier. And you know, definitely one of the better tank players within this tier. A couple of other players that are going to be to note. Tescu has also been around Tranquility for a while. Is probably going to be getting a lot of playtime. This is Atlas Arcadia is an org that they own, and they've kind of kept alive here and there. So very interested to see how they are. I used to be actually a part of this team way back when, before they were in Tranquility. Very different roster, but you know, a lot of good people on there. And then Desert Flame is, you know, relatively new to Tranquility. I think maybe 1 or 2 players have played in Trank before. I don't really know off the top of my head. But overall, it's a pretty good team. Did play against Volcanic week 1, which is technically the team I'm on. I got to watch that game. But yeah, I mean, they're a pretty good team. I'm very interested to see what we have in this first match of Stage 2.
Yeah, you're definitely talking on both these teams, so hopefully we're in for a bit of an exciting match. I know there are times where, the caster's curse, we say it's going to be a real close one, and then the 3-0 follows directly behind it, but you have built it up very nicely. I'm putting a lot of faith in you that we're looking at something other than a 3-0. Now, heading into this first map, as soon as we're ready to go, it's actually going to be Lijiang Tower. That is what every single team is going to be playing as the first map for this week. Now, Lijiang Tower, it is a map that typically, especially a control point or control center and Night Market, prefers that brawl-style comp. I think that's a lot of Reinhardt, a lot of Orisa gets pulled out as well. We've seen the Bastion is still pretty popular as well, so that Orisa is a bit more favored, but really it's going to come down to a lot of these teams' preferences on what they would like to run and what kind of brawl will suit them best. And we've seen some teams that are very familiar to that Reinhardt per se, and it's definitely a fun tank to play, but at this level, it's not necessarily what about's fun, it's about what's going to work the best, and as the patch currently stands, Orisa still is a fantastic tank to use.
Yeah, I really do feel that the meta is just very open. I think it's going to be very dependent on a lot of times what the tank player is most comfortable with, and then you could just kind of build around that just because of how good tanks are in this game. And a lot of versatility is required, and I do know Star Platinum, very versatile tank player. Expecting to see, maybe we could probably see that Reinhardt, probably going to see the Winston later on in the series. I don't really expect it that much on Lijiang Tower, but they can play a wide variety of tanks, so I'm very interested to see what they want to get started on, and it's going to really be telling for the rest of this series too, because based on these styles, these are styles that can translate into these next few map types. I mean, like Flashpoint, you could see some brawl comps too. We're going to head into our first map on Market, yes, and I mean, this is a very interesting map point because you do see sometimes teams want to run that Symmetra teleport to point. You can get away with, like, I've seen some teams run Pharah here, but okay, we're going to see Analyst Arcadia. They are going to start off on that Reinhardt I was kind of talking about with the Symmetra. Probably not going to make too many swaps from what they have there. Don't know what Desert Flame's going to run. I'd imagine they're not going to play the Lifeweaver Hog. If they do, it's going to be very reliant on the off angles and just kind of pulling your team away. Or it's going to be a lot on the Lifeweaver, pulling the team away when they get into danger, because Analyst Arcadia is going to try and run onto them. Don't think that, they're going to swap to a Junker Queen. We'll see how this works. I feel like Atlas Arcadia's comp could be a little bit better right now, just because if they can get, first touch, they can set up walls. It's going to be very hard for Desert Flame to push in, but we have to watch out for that Bastion from the side of Sludge. So we'll see how this first fight goes.
It's down to Atlas here to use these cooldowns very carefully. They have the Shell, they have the Terraform for the Bastion. Those are ones they're going to want to try to use wisely, and Sludge is actually going to use it kind of early in this engagement, but it does manage to find Gallant. Getting rid of the Mei, they will not be able to wall up. They should be able to walk in soon on this point and to be able to poke down more of the members of Atlas Arcadia. Right now, the Ryan just trying to play ahead. Eventually burnt down Desert Flame, cleaning up this fight, making this first cap over here. The last couple members staggering themselves out just a tiny bit, but that is going to be completion for Desert Flame, who is taking a nice little amount of time and found a really nice pick there to start out that fight.
Yeah, killing that Mei earlier is just so massive because they cannot stop Desert Flame from walking in, and especially against this Junker Queen, where she is so good when she's able to control tempo. It just makes it so easy for them. Now Atlas Arcadia, they're going to swap to the Bastion, they're going to try and match Sludge a little bit more, and they have the shield pressure, but we'll see this first fight going. Amor's already forced out.
Yeah, and a lot of cooldowns getting used very quickly right now. It's going to come down to who gets this first pick coming out. You can see them getting one, Sludge barely able to survive. They're in a bit of a tough situation. Atlas finding that right opportunity to go in, and that pin is certainly going to do it. Shrug being taken care of. Sludge directly to follow. They're going to send in the Blade, try to do some damage. They find one, but it's just not going to be enough for them. You see Satsun try to stay alive. They did manage to find one, but they're getting desperately lower and lower. Point, making sure to get rid of the bat before anything, but it's crazy how they're still alive right now, and Satsun fights for so long. They have 3 people left on this point, and in fact, they're going to end up holding it. Who knows if they're going to hold it for too long, but they managed to turn that fight around.
Yeah, I don't think Atlas Arcadia is going to want to take a fight right now without the Reinhardt. I mean, he's going to be coming back right now, but, they just get picked off, The Blade is able to find the Baptiste. They're able to get these picks throughout the rest of this fight, and then Desert Flame's just able to win the scrappy fight. Now, going into this next one, they have a lot of key ultimates. You have the Window, you have the Junker Queen ult, you have the Bee also.
Ooh. Yeah, but you
they want to take this. Oh, yeah, Sludge does find the pick.
Yeah, that is pretty bad, but they are going to invest the Beat. In fact, the Rampage is going to go directly behind it. The Beat is going to stop a lot of that initial damage right now, but members are still going to be desperately low. Vesku is definitely one of the people involved in this scenario. The Shatter comes out and found one member. And in fact, since he decided they wanted to go for the dash, they managed to find it. It's Desert Flame who takes the advantage in this fight. Everybody still remaining on this point. The rest of Atlas trying to make some kind of magic happen, but Satsun does not want to let that come down to it. The overtime is going to tick over as well. Aqua going for the touch, but that boop is going to prevent it momentarily. That Star Platinum comes back on the Doomfist, but they're not going to be around for a whole lot longer. Desert Flame making sure nobody else touches this point. They're definitely trying to, but nobody is going to make it. Desert Flame, the 100-0 to kick us off here on Lijiang.
Yeah, and I really think a lot of it comes down to Desert Flame was able to control tempo in a lot of these fights, whether it was because they got a good first pick or they used abilities a certain way. And really, their comp is just going to do better in some of these scrappier fights. You have the Genji who can get on the flank, the Junker Queen is going to be able to sustain herself, and, you know, the Bastion's just going to be able to do damage over time. But, I mean, yeah, you see this fight. Some ults gets invested a little late. A little unfortunate for Atlas Arcadia. They thought they could win that. Just a little too late. Going into this next point, though, I do think we are on... Which one is this?
This would be Gardens.
This is Gardens? Okay. So yeah, Desert Flame's probably going to stay with the same comp. So Star Platinum's going to swap to the Zarya. I think Zarya's a pretty good matchup into the Junker Queen. You're just able to bubble the axe, essentially, from Desert Flame. But gonna have to see how this Echo Genji works out for Desert Flame. It's going to be getting a lot of angles. And we also have to look at Aqua on the Sojourn. Very good Sojourn player in their own right. So we'll see how this goes in this first fight.
Yep. Star Platinum right now looking for that charge before they can fully go in. You are going to see a lot go through from that bubble right there, but the boop is going to bring them desperately close to the edge. Test doing their best to survive, but Satsun is doing a fantastic job coming after these supports, but it's all tied up now. Star Platinum managing to find one. They found themselves a second. Just like that, the fight has turned in their favor, but they need to be healed up. Make sure to get this cap on the point, and they should be able to play a little bit more defensively now that they have that cap. And it's still the 2v2 right now. It is still turnable for Satsun, but I think they're just going to back out of this and do a quick regroup.
Yeah, really they should, but I think they are going to they're going to get their team back. They're going to try and take a fight here. They're getting dangerously low, though. They're probably going to get picked off right now. They're going to get to the Immortality field, just able to get out. But again, the Zarya, I feel, is just going to be able to control these fights a lot better because a lot of what Junker Queen can do well just gets countered by Zarya, right? The bubbles are going to stop the axe, so you're not going to be able to get that burst damage. You're not going to be able to get the self-healing, and you can just get beamed down by Zarya, and especially when she has full charge, like right now, where she doesn't have to use bubbles to get that charge, and she's just going to beam them down right now.
Both bubbles are going to be used, though. They don't have protection for a good 5 seconds now, but they're not the main target right now. They need to be able to go after these supports, make something happen. Star Platinum, though, is going to find Satsun, a big part of that push, being taken down. With the window invested, it looks like it's going to be for naught right now. Last couple members on the point. They need to try to die or get out as fast as they can with 50% and counting. Atlas Arcadia doing a fantastic job, and they didn't have to use any ults to win that fight, as Desert Flame already trying to switch things around, and it's not looking good at the moment.
Yeah, they're going to swap to that Sojourn, going to try and match Aqua on the Sojourn. Really, it's basically a complete mirror except the Junker Queen Zarya, which again, I feel like Atlas is still going to be at this advantage, especially since they have 4 ults. I mean, we're probably going to see the window come out, it's going to stall some time, and then you're going to see the grab. Probably end it, honestly, if you stall this fight long enough. But we'll see. They're probably going to try and use their ult first and maybe get a good fight win early.
Yep, you already see that grab come up. They're going to send the Widow on top of it. They want to end this right here and now. Getting rid of 2 will certainly do that for you. That's putting down a fantastic window. Arcadia managing to wipe the rest of Desert Flame off the map, and now it's going to come down to getting this final touch. It's likely going to be on Shrug to do so.
Yeah, I do think they probably get a touch. Well, not if Aqua is able to get some picks with this overclock, but the beat's forced out. Shrug 6 might be able to touch.
Yeah, they're going around, but the overhealth is gone from them now. They're not going to be able to touch. It's going to be on Sensei to make the touch. They're going to be able to get it. The blade is ready to go, but they can't get it out in time. It's going to be a Gallon instead that focuses on doing the cleanup. Satsun, the last ditch effort with the Rampage, but there is no follow-up left. Atlas Arcadia matching it right back with that 100-0, whereas we're going to take it next to Control Center, where the winner is going to take this map.
Yeah, I really do think it comes down. I mean, I hinted at it a lot throughout that entire map, or that entire point. The Zarya pick is so clutch just because able to counter so much of what Junker Queen does good. And, I mean, Star Platinum's just able to mow down the entirety of Desert Flame whenever he wants to, essentially. And it's going to be able to help, like, Gallant, you know, get some of these angles, too. Maybe he wants to go for flanks. We saw it once when Desert Flame was able to use that window. Gallant was just able to sit in, you know, on top of that little, you know, opening on the side of the point, and which is able to get a lot of damage. But Desert Flame, they're going to swap to the Reinhardt. They're going to play some Bastion. I do think Desert Flame's comp might be a little bit better. Just inside point, you're going to get a lot of value from the shield, a lot of value from Bastion just mowing down through these small chokes. But if Atlas Arcadia, if they can get some angles set up, maybe get Star Platinum full charge without having to use too many resources, they might be set up. We'll see how they want to take this next fight, though, because it's going to be a little tough for them.
Yeah, but they do manage to take control of that white room to start things out. That is going to be good to hold on to right now is, again, on the side of Sludge right now. Just trying to find one of the supports hidden off on the side. That the grenade does manage to find a couple of members, but it doesn't take them down. And look at that. Star Platinum, despite what happened, they're at 100 charge right now. And in fact, Sludge is going to catch up Aqua over on the side. Atlas Arcadia trying to get the cap to start things out, but losing 2 is definitely preventing you from doing such. Star Platinum going to be burnt down. Gallant trying to be a bit of a hero on the side, finds the one, but they're going to have to back out and let Desert Flame take the first cap here.
Yeah, we'll see if our Atlas Arcadia is going to want to make some swaps here. And okay, they won't. But, I mean, huge teleport coming on the side of Desert Flames, able to get to the backline of Atlas Arcadia, and that's kind of your biggest fear if you're Atlas Arcadia, because you don't really have the mobility at that point, and you're just going to fall apart because you don't have your Zarya up there, and they were just able to lose that fight. Now, going into this next one, they almost have the window. We'll see how this goes, because Gallant is trying to contest this point right now.
Yep, Atlas is the kind of team that wants to set up some angles, especially Aqua trying to set up on that side. But right now, we do have a sequence of them trying to push the room, but they're being a little bit stagnant, perhaps waiting for those bubbles to completely come through before they commit to a big push. Not a lot of ultimates ready online for them. It's Gallant that's going to fall first as well. This little half-baked push right now isn't working out for them right now, as they're going to be burning around a couple more members. Star Platinum going to fall. Sensei does fall on their side, but it's such a cleanup for Desert Flame. They're doing a fantastic job, and they should be able to get Sensei back pretty quickly for this next fight.
Yeah, Gallant's just not really able to get set up on the off angles. They're getting controlled by Zensei on the Symmetra. Is able to kind of shut them down completely. And, you know, on Atlas Arcadia's comp, you're trying to play slow. You're trying to play for Aqua to hit a headshot, but you just can't really give them that space. Now, at Desert Flame, they're going to have so many ults. They might be able to win this if they can get some effective ult usage in this next fight.
You would figure Atlas wants to be able to use ults first during this fight. You know you have that grab coming up very shortly, but Aqua does have that ult ready to go. But Zasper going to be taken out. The grab going to follow it directly afterwards. They're going to send a counter beat, but not in time to save one of their members. Desert Flame taking this fight at the moment is coming down to the blade from Gallant. They found the one, looking for the second. They are definitely going to find it, and that fight is going to flip over in their favor. Gallant bringing that fight back from the verge of defeat. 84% locked in for Desert Flame, but Atlas, they wiped the whole kitchen sink out with that one, and right now they're looking down the barrel of 3 ultimates. Yeah,
it's very tough. They had to use every ult. Now, yeah, Desert Flame have both DPS. They have the Shatter. We'll see how this goes. They might just be able to melt Star Platinum Shield, get a huge Shatter. We'll see what they want to try and do here. They're going to use the Sim Wall first. Then they're going to teleport to the point, so they're going to get set up right now, and it's looking very good for them.
Yeah, it creates a very easy rotation without having to use too much. It's going to force Atlas to play on the other side of that. It's really hard to push into that. And it's Sensei who's getting a ton. The Shatter going to come out. I believe it caught maybe one member, but no one is there for the follow-up to get past the Reinhardt. Star Platinum manages to hold the front line for a pretty long time, but eventually going to get burnt down, as it's going to come down to the members of Atlas to potentially try to force a pick here at the moment, but it's a lot of damage coming through for Desert Flame. And it looks like it's just the Onbo that wants to try to get this touch, but it's just not going to happen. Atlas trying to bring it back, finding the touch. Star Platinum is going to find it for that moment. But again, it's the damage output over on the side of Desert Flame that's going to cause a stall to be pretty much ineffective. Nobody going to be making it back to this point. Desert Flame bringing it back to that Ryan comp and making it work definitely seems like a strength, as they're to take Lijiang Tower and go up 1-0 in the series.
Yeah, I really do think Atlas Arcadia, it's just very tough for them using that Zarya going into the Reinhardt. I just think you're kind of getting countered a little bit because the Reinhardt's just able to sit there and protect their Bastion and let the Bastion do all the work, essentially. Now, I would have liked to see them swap sooner. I mean, if they would have done it maybe after first fight, they probably could have had a better chance, but just not really much you can do. I think really this entire map went down to some of these comp choices, right? Like, even here, right, we're looking at the Desert Flame was able to get more value from the Junker Queen just because of how they played it, and they looked better on it. And then Star Platinum makes the adjustment to the Zarya, able to kind of counter this Junker Queen, and then going into the last point, it's just so much harder to run Zarya. I feel I would have much preferred like a Ramatra or a Reinhardt, just something that has a little bit more staying power, especially like if you can get a good shield or really anything, just so you're not just sitting there having to rely on your DPS to get all that value. But overall, though, it was a pretty good map from both teams. I think obviously there's things that both these teams want to do better. And going into our next map, here, let me bring up the map type. So we will be going to hybrid. It is going to be Atlas Arcadia choice. So, I mean, here. So we have Midtown, Blizzard World, and Numbani are 3 hybrid maps. So I mean, I'm trying to look at it. I don't really know what you're gonna try and do if you're Atlas Arcadia. If they want to try and run these if they want to try and run dive comps, which again I've kind of talked about a little bit. Start playing him pretty good on. It's pretty good on that Winston. So we'll see if they want to try Numbani maybe. But we'll see what they're gonna go to. I think. Oh yeah, they chose Midtown already. That was quick, man.
Okay. I think Midtown, honestly, I think it's a good pick overall. I think it is, like you've already suggested, the meta is kind of open, but we do see a lot of these teams are comfortable running the Zarya, running the Junker Queen. I think Orisa in some forms is still really good, especially on defense there. I think these teams so far have proven that Brawl team seems to be one of their more comfortable style comms. It's like that for a lot of different teams out there, but it's not the exception here, as both of them kind of want to likely stick to this style. What I'm mainly curious of right now is how this is going to be played defensively, as it's going to be Desert Flame that's going to be starting out on the attack. And really, it just comes out of the curiosity of what kind of tanks they're hoping to run here.
Yeah, and yeah, Midtown is actually just such an open, map when you really think about it. You kind of do a lot of things on Midtown compared to like Numbani or Blizzard World. I feel are a little bit more stagnant, but I mean, Atlas, yeah, I think Midtown favors some of these brawl comps a little bit more, especially on third point. Third point's pretty good for the brawl. First point defense, you can kind of get away with it as well as the attack. Second point's a little different though, just because of all the high ground. It's a little bit tougher, but kind of depends on what the other team starts on and all that. So Atlas Arcadia, they're gonna go back to the Zarya. I mean, it's been a good look for them, and honestly, I do think this is a pretty good map for it. You can get Gallant set up on the high ground. You can do a lot of things with your DPS just because of how mobile they are and how much high ground there is on this map. We'll see what Desert Flame wants to run out on. Doubt it's going to be the Hog. I think they're just doing that for fun, right? But we'll see Star Platinum too. Star Platinum and the Zarya has been looking pretty good. Desert Flame, they might opt for that Junker Queen comp again. It is pretty good on this map, but going into the Zarya is going to be a little tough for them. So we'll see how that's going to go. But Atlas Arcadia, they're going to stick with the Bap Lucio. This seems like probably one of their favorite comps just because it puts a lot of their players on comfort picks. And we also see they brought in Onbo instead of Tescu. So
Wait a second. I hope you can't be baiting the casters. You can't do this.
Oh no.
You can't do this to us. So you can't do this to us. You can't just win a map and then go Roadhog. You're not allowed to do that here. But they are going to try it anyway. Right now, it's just going to be Satsun looking for the correct hook and bring someone into the team so that they can be burnt away. Trying to force out some of these cooldowns as well. Honestly, it's not the worst idea in the world so long as they can capitalize on it. Satsun going to have to use those heals to make sure they stay up. They're going to send in the bubble over on Akua, and that's the payoff right there, pulling them in. They're unable to escape from the dash, but they are going to try it out with Zasper, so a good chunk of that healing gone. But this is the good part about having double flex support. You still have a lot of heals you can give to your team, even if you manage to drop one of them on their side. So still the 4v4 right now. Star Platinum trying to run down the back line, force out the rest of the heals. And right now, it's Atlas's fight to lose right now. They just need to play safe, burn down these members as they slowly push in. We are to see Satsun get desperately low. The heals are in, though. They're managing to survive very well, but look at that. Onbo has a window ready to go. Only a minute into this map so far, but they have to try to survive. Getting so low, and eventually they're going to be caught out. In fact, both of the members of Atlas's support line going to be taken out. And Desert Flame going to be holding on for the moment here. Is Atlas going to start reconsidering what to do next?
Yeah, also we do see a core swap to the Reaper instead of the Genji. That they were just running. Kirkwall's going to come out, it's going to clean up this fight, but what I like to see Atlas do a little bit more is you got to pressure out this Roadhog a little bit more. You kind of just got to walk to the fire truck for free because everybody was just so afraid, but you have to do some poke to him as he's walking so you can force out some of these abilities, whether it is the support abilities or it is Roadhog's own heal. And I mean, now with the Reaper, it's going to be a little bit easier just because you could just walk at him, you could bubble the Reaper, and you're just going to absolutely mow down Desert Flame's Roadhog. But looking at some of these ults too, we do see the High Noon. Don't really know how good it's going to be unless you can get set up on a pedal, get some good value there. I mean, the Tree of Life too could be pretty huge, but Atlas Arcadia, they have the Graviton Surge. We'll see how they want to use it in this fight, as it looks like they're going to be trying to play more aggressive now after this heal.
Yeah, and in fact, the dreaded combo, you have the grab with the window in front of it. It's almost impossible to survive in that scenario. And Star Platinum wants to be able to cut off some of these members, make sure they get everybody in this scenario. Best survive there too, but they are coming up very, very close to the ultimate. I think the question is, how long do you want to stick with this Roadhog comp? Because now that Atlas Arcadia is in kind of this position to play up and play aggressively, I think it might start getting tough on Desert Flame to keep running this.
Yeah, I really think they should swap now, but they probably do want to save it for that Roadhog. No, I don't think it's going to be that good, but Zakua gets his ult canceled, and it looks like Desert Flame's going to be able to get a free push in after that. No pressure on the Roadhog now.
Yep, Star Platinum taking out directly afterwards. Right now, it's just on the rest. Oh, that right click. It's just going to be down to the rest of Atlas to stall out this cart for as long as they possibly can. Not sure why you're going for the bit of a stagger here on that Baptiste. Not your best idea, but we are to see Star Platinum head over to that Orisa. It is a good counter for that Roadhog. So right now, we're in a good old game of counter watch, but you have to see how well Star Platinum can pull this off and try to shut down Satsun on this Roadhog, who's doing, honestly, a very good job so far for a character that's really not seen a whole lot.
Yeah, but, you know, going into this next fight, Gallant does have this Sojal. It's going to be able to hopefully force out Desert Flame from this high ground. But Satsun, they have their whole hog, and it looks like they're going to use it right now, even though they are getting dangerously low.
Yeah, they get pushed off, but the Life Grip brings them back into the spike. And now it's going to be down to Gallant. They have the overclock ready to go. They found the one. Looking for that second, shooting past the Roadhog. They found two of their own. Cleaning up Desert Flame. They are forced to try to die on this point or get out as fast as they can. Aqua finds the 2K there at the end. Atlas, you're making some very good swaps in this fight coming up, and now you really have to start considering if you're Desert Flame, and finally, you're going to swap things up.
Yeah, they're going to play for more poke in these fights. Probably going to swap off these supports too. I doubt they're going to keep this after these support ults. Probably just going to stack them, walk in, hopefully you can get a good fight win before Arcadia is able to build the rest of their ults. But the window should be able to hold Desert Flame off. Looks like they're just going to play around point and wait for Arcadia to drop, though. They do have the Tree of Life, and that's going to be so hard for Arcadia to fight into just because you're not going to be able to kill anything.
Yep, Sensei going to take up the rear right now, playing from the top, looking to find somebody out of location, but doing a good job sticking together on this window. It's going to be very hard for Sensei to be able to pull anything off. But right now, it's Star Platinum that has it ready to go. The Terra Surge looking to find somebody, but the pull is going to keep them out of range. Still, Satsun manages to go back inside of it, and that's going to be a fight win for Atlas. Arcadia getting the cleanups, a little less than 2 minutes remaining. And right now, we're going to see what kind of swaps are going to make over on Desert Flame. We're going to see the Baptiste, likely a potential Lucio falling, but the Brig is going to be given instead. And now they're just going full poke now.
Yeah, the Brig's an interesting choice. I don't really know what you're trying to fight away. Nobody's really flanking. I mean, maybe Akua, but I don't think they're going to be really flanking that much. So, I mean, we'll see. They're going to swap to the Hanzo, though. I like the Hanzo pick. Good for the poke. And Arcadia, they have the Reaper ult. They have the Death Blossom. Could be huge if they catch him on this rotation here. Oh, Gallant gets dangerously low. Sensei is looking for a pick.
Yeah, that's all they're looking for right now. This the kind of poke comp this is. They're just looking for that opening pick. Setsun can't play too aggressive, or else they're going to get ran down like that. They are just eliminated right then and there, but I think it's very important. We just saw a push go completely under the bridge right there. So now that's going to be within one fight territory. If they can win this next fight, they might be able to just push that right in.
It's going to be tough, though, because if you go underneath and you don't try and take that high ground, that just means Gallant gets a free overclock on the high ground. Nobody to really contest them unless you send your own Sojourn or your Hanzo. Maybe you want to send the Brig Sojourn. Maybe that's the whole point of the Brig. You want to set that up on the high ground. I think it's going to be too tough, though. Looks like they're just going to try and take the high ground, though. It's a good idea. They're going to be getting their own Sojal too, along with this Gravitic Flux. So they're actually set up pretty good in this next fight because they're going to have an advantage if this Flux can be huge.
Yeah, they're going to use the Flux. They're going to send it out. They are going to force out the beat. That's going to be very important as Gallant going to send in their own overclock. Trying to find some players right now. Sludge has found one of their own, though. Make that two. Sludge trying to shut them down, but it's Gallant that gets the revenge. Brings down Sludge. And now Atlas trying to do what they can. Desert Flame wants to try to push this in. They stop the members. They can't make it back to the cart. It's so unfortunate for Atlas Arcadia, doing good in that fight, and they're all back, but it's just too little, too late as Desert Flame gets a second life here and gets to push through third.
Yeah, Star Platinum gets mowed down trying to touch the point. It's just kind of unfortunate, but I mean, they're still not set up necessarily that bad. They have the window, and Desert Flame really only has the dragon. Arcadia is also going to be able to build the, the Orisa ult throughout this next fight. Gallant gets dangerously low, though. The window's going to be forced, and it's going to just try and hold Desert Flame back.
Yeah, that's going to be a good dragon to kind of split them off a little bit. Start playing them in a bit of a weird position, but that gold form should be able to get them out of that fight. Nice, safe and sound. Gonna hold that corner for the time being, but they don't have any ults coming very quickly. You see Star Platinum, they have that just about ready to go, but they're going to try to pull the corner, make sure they live, barely manage to do so, as they might try to use this kind of aggressively as soon as the Immortality Field is out. It is out, ready to go. Sludge, though, finds the opening pick onto Gallant, and now that's going to force Desert Flame to either be super aggressive or try to get out entirely, or Atlas Arcadia, my bad. Star Platinum just holding onto this cart very well thus far. supports doing a good job at keeping them up. In fact, gonna force them Satson, looking for the terracers. The beat comes out. It'll keep them alive for the moment. But a very big boop comes through. Zasper gets kept into the due to the boop by Curly. This is gonna be a big fight when coming up for Atlas, because they only have 10 seconds of counting, and they have to try to touch this point.
Yeah, huge boot by Curly, able to give Star Platinum all that value on that Terror Surge. But honestly, it was really good by Analyst Arcadia. They turned one fight, that kind of that 1 minute over a minute, and made it one fight. They just sat there, they didn't move, and were able to hold that space forever using ults too. And they're just able to win it. And when you also look at it too, Analyst Arcadia, they lost their Sojourn so early in that fight, but Desert Flame really just couldn't push or wouldn't push up, and they wouldn't really take that space. So I mean, really good defense by Analyst Arcadia. You're really only looking at capping the first 2 points, which, you know, is a little bit difficult on this map. Midtown is a pretty defensive favorite team, especially on this first point if you can't, you know, push in very effectively. We'll see what they want to do, though. Maybe they're going to want to run that Orisa again, or maybe they're going to try that Zarya. That's kind of the main two I'm expecting for their attack. And Desert Flame's kind of shown us a lot. I mean, I don't think they're going to go for that Roadhog again. I do think it's such a risky pick. They got value from it, though, because Analyst Arcadia just didn't really force out the Hog until they made all these big swaps like the Orisa and the Reaper, and just got value that way. But we'll see what they're going to opt for on their on their attack, though. A lot of comps they could try and run here.
Yeah, kind of like what you said before. It's to be very dangerous to try to run that Hog here. You can kind of test the waters. If you're on attack, you can test the comp out the first time. You messed it up, it's all right. You lose 30 seconds, you go again, but it's a whole lot different. If you lose the first fight on defense, you pretty much just lose that point then and there. So you see them over on the Sigma playing a bit of a poke style still, running the Torbjorn instead. So honestly, this is going to be big on Atlas. They're going to be focusing on TPs and quick rotations to be able to loop onto these supports.
Yeah, exactly. They have to play quick. They have to get on top of Desert Flame. Cannot let them try and play for poke. And that's what we're going to see the Sim Teleport for. We'll see what they're going to try to do with it this first time. They are taking a lot of poke already, though.
Oh, that was a very long time to set out that TP. And right now, I think the best they can do is just kind of poke away a little bit, wait for that TP to come back in line, and try what they're going to do. And I think they're trying to get into that room to the left side of point. They are going to set it up this time, and it looks like this time the successful rotation is given. They're taking high ground, and now the question is, what are you doing next?
Yeah, I mean, they might just try and brute force it, or they're going to maybe get their Sim Teleport back. I mean, they can kind of sit in this room for free and not taking too much damage as long as you keep these off angles in check. But we'll see what they want to do. Might try and walk on the Sojourn right here.
Yep, the TP going to be set up top. Right now, it's a game of tic-tac-toe. They keep taking different areas, taking them over, forcing Atlas to kind of move around positions a little bit. It's strange, but it's working for the moment. Desert Flame, he's kind of just going in and out of position, but nothing works until you get this first pick. And Atlas, while they're definitely confusing Desert a little bit, I'm not sure if it's fully being effective quite yet. The window going to be coming out, as well as that TP, looking for the opening pick, using the TP to go on the side, try to find somebody. They get the first tick, looking for that second one. They're likely going to get it, but now Desert Flame has to get on this point. They have to make some kind of contestment. And the biggest thing here coming up, Satson coming up very close to their own Flux, but Sludge has found the first pick onto Galliant. This pick, this comp, not faring too well for them thus far. They just want to try to burn down targets, and in fact, they're going to send out the Flux to make sure they get the cleanup here, finding a couple members of their own. Desert Flame doing a really good job peeling that out, and Atlas Arcadia, honestly, they are playing this quick enough. They're taking good TPs and angles, but I think they're not capitalizing on the level of aggression they should have.
Yeah, Desert Flame also does just have a lot of ability. That's the good thing about having that Lucio. You have so much mobility. You're able to get out of these teleports and kind of help them out throughout that entire fight. But they only need, Ellis only needs one more tick, so we'll see how this goes. They might just be able to take that point away from them. They have some ults, but Desert Flame, you have to watch out for that Torbjorn ult as well as that window.
Yep, Sensei might just use it as soon as they try to regress onto this point. Right now, it's again Atlas waiting for their cooldowns to come through. The wall is going to come out first. They want to try to burn down Satson. The beat is going to come out. In fact, a lot is going to come out on the side of Desert Flame using 3 different ultimates just to make sure Satson stays alive. But you know what? It ends up being worth it in the end. Or will it? It's back to a 3v3. Sensei has found 2 of their own, though, hoping to shut the rest of them down. And after a quick little scare, Atlas shut down once again. Desert Flame using a lot of ults to win that fight. But ultimately, even if you end up losing this point, you are killing this time bank right now.
Yeah, and Analyst Arcadia is just beginning so split in these mid fights, which is going to help Desert Flame so much just because they're poke comp. They're able to get this value throughout these mid fights and especially these longer fights. But Analyst Arcadia, they have 3 ults going into this next one, and Desert Flame doesn't have anything. It's looking pretty good for them. If they can use these ults effectively, they're going to try and push out with this window is kind of my big expectation here.
This is the big fight that they need to win. They're going to dump a lot of ults into this fight. We're to see the window come out first, ready to go. The Shatter comes through, but it's going to find a couple of members. They fall directly afterwards. This fight is just about done. Analyst Arcadia going to be capping the first point. Not nearly as big as a time make as Desert Flame had before, but 3 minutes, still a decent time to work with. You just have to start bringing the aggression if you're going to keep this comp.
Exactly, and this is a very good point for Desert Flame's comp because you can get set up on those high grounds and get set up on these angles. And it's just very dangerous for Analyst Arcadia if they are not able to take tempo, as you would expect from these brawl comps. And Desert Flame, they're going to be able to get a good all rotation coming up. If they can win this fight with just a Gravitic Flux, they're looking pretty good, but the Bastional is going to come out and is going to split up Desert Flame a little bit at least.
Yep, it is a nice little split up for the time being, but ultimately not going to provide a whole lot of value. That rock comes through, gets Aqua 1 health, and they're going to be taken down eventually. It's down to Atlas to try to get out of this fight as fast as they can. You want to make sure not to stagger yourself, start a Platinum. Looks like they're going to get out of there in the process, and right now, Atlas, you might want to start rethinking this a little bit. You're nowhere near any ultimates. You're not taking these rotations quick enough. Desert Flame, clearly, I think, just has the better comp right now.
Yeah, exactly, and they're playing it very well, too. Getting a lot of value from these longer fights and able to extend these fights a lot, too, is what's helping them out. It's just so hard for Analyst Arcadia to push now. They're going to swap to the Sigma, going to play a little bit more for the poke, but Satsung has the Gravitic Flux here. They're going to be able to build the rest of these ults on the side of Desert Flame, too, after this fight. I mean, there's a good chance they can snowball this as long as they don't let Analyst Arcadia get away with anything cheeky like pushing this card all the way without having to take a fight. But we are going to see the Gravitic Flux come out right now.
Yeah, Flux come out. You are going to see Aqua manages to get into the freeze to manage to survive, but Ombo is not that lucky. Callan does manage to stop Sludge, still the ultimate, and now this is turning things around. They're going to double down on the beat. Make sure they win this fight. Satsun wants to be able to survive as long as they can. Try to force one more fight on second point, but they have to be able to touch this. And again, it might be down to Shrug to get that touch.
Yeah, and Slush just gets their overclock canceled throughout that fight, but we'll see if Desert Flame's going to be... I don't think they're going to be able to get a touch here. I think this Lucio boot's going to be huge, and yeah, but it was. And they actually might be able to get some of these picks here, too, and if they can get these picks right now, they might be able to win. Remember, they forced Desert Flame not push very far. I mean, it's not a very far length to push, especially because you're getting all of this space for free right here. So they actually might be able to win this if they can get some of their ults on when they're coming up on the overclock. They already have the Blizzard. Maybe they're going to try and stop this engagement here.
Yep, that freeze is going to come out. You are to see it's going to catch at least one member right there. Torb going to be frozen. The beat going to come out, managing to keep them alive in the process. That window is still up, going to be providing a lot of support for this team. And in fact, it's Desert Flame that's going to double down with a lot of ult into this fight. And while ultimately they do find the pick and they do manage to hold on for the moment, Atlas has 3 ults going into this fight, and Desert Flame just use everything they've got.
Yeah, and on paper, the Sigma is a little bit of a better pick just because you can do much more poke to this Junker Queen and just get a lot of value from her. But again, Analyst Arcadia, they have all of these ults. They're going to get so much value from them, especially if they can use this window here, force Desert Flame back and force them into one of these other ults.
Yep, fight to lose right now. They have the ults to do so. The Flux going to come out. It's Aqua who's going to be managed to found first. Scaling it, manages to bring out the overclock. It's evened out right now. They need to find one more pick. And found it right now. The 3v2. Desert Flame's going to have to drop members here on the point very shortly to be able to force Kiss Testament. It's just the Torb that's going to have to drop, trying to survive for as long as they can. But it's a little too much to go through. A nice little dance around the point. And now, Telm, I have to say it. We have a series on our hand. We're tied up 1-1.
Exactly. I mean, overall, very good map by both of these teams, but what really you have to look at here was that second point attack on the side of Analyst Arcadia only needed to win one fight just because they were able to control the cart, and I mean, you could argue they did get a little bit lucky. They were at such a huge ult disadvantage, but it does come down to the skill too. They were able to find the pick on the Sludge during that overclock, able to cancel it. But you know, they made a lot of good swaps too. I think Overwatch obviously is just a huge game of counter swaps at this point, but they made a lot of key swaps. They were able to get a lot of value from the picks that they swapped on too. So, I mean, overall, very good map by both these teams. We're very interested to see what we are in for the rest of the series. Obviously, our next point's going to be Flashpoint, but I mean, we have to get there first. We'll see what map choice is going to come out on the side of Desert Flame. Overall, though, it's been a very good series so far.
Yeah, it definitely has. I think even more after seeing that map, we've definitely seen the strengths of these teams even more. Well, I was a little wrong in the aspect that it was just a lot of the brawl. We found out both of these teams are actually pretty comfortable on this Sigma comp, but it seems like, especially on the side of Atlas, they really only want to pull it out when it seems completely necessary. So Desert Flame, I think they might head back to this Dark Queen style comp. In fact, I think both teams might end up doing so. Things happen, so I'm curious what they're going to do coming into this. Maybe the Dark Queen, maybe the Zarya. I don't know. I'm very curious to see though.
Yeah, for Flashpoint, my big expectation is probably we'll see Atlas Arcadia run out that Zarya and Desert Flame go on the Junker Queen. You're going to see a big clash of those styles. But, you know, that's going to be next map. We will get into that very shortly after a little bit of a halftime, I believe.
Yes, sir. But yeah, we're going to go to the halftime real quick. Make sure you stick around because it looks like this is going to be a heck of a series. See you soon. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Be here. It is week 7 of season 11 of Tranquility. We are in the Ascendant Tier. Analyst, Arcadia, Desert Flame so far 1-1 tied up in the series after both teams had fairly reasonable maps thus far. And from what we've seen at this point, these are like very even teams that have their own little style against each other. So now we talked about it before the break, but I'm curious what they'll be going into for our next map, which we do have Flashpoint coming up, which there's only 2 choices that we're going to have, but it's very similar playstyles for both of these maps.
Yeah, definitely. I don't really think there's anything that kind of defines either of these maps yet. Like, one comp does so good on this map. I think they're very similar just because of how Flashpoint is, especially because you're only getting like 1 or 2 fights on a point, so kind of the geometry of that point doesn't really matter as much in the whole grand scheme of things when it comes to choosing a map. And especially because all the points are so different too, it's kind of hard to really break it down, at least at this point, just because it's still a relatively new game mode. So it's going to be very dependent on whatever team, whatever they scrim more, honestly. It's probably what they're going to end up choosing, as I do believe we will be going into New Junk City. Hey, maybe they're going to try out that Junker Queen. That's where she's from, right? So yeah. We'll see what Desert Flame's gonna try and do here. I do expect that Junker Queen though. Maybe they're gonna try out that Reinhardt. We did see it work. It worked out pretty good for them on that first map of the series. But if Analyst Arcadia, if they get that Zarya comp against the Junker Queen comp of Desert Flame, I do think they are going to be favored in this map. But if Desert Flame wants to run out on that Reinhardt and Analyst Arcadia goes in the Zarya, then probably not going to be favored. It really is just a game of rock, paper, scissors at this point. That's just what Overwatch is now. You got one tank, so whatever gets countered is really just going to lose, right? You can just keep swapping. But we'll see what both these teams are going to want to get started out on whenever we get into this this map here. But yeah, again, we are going to be expecting that brawl style. I mean, it's just so good. You love that Lucio speed boost especially too, just because you're going to be able to get from all these points of Flashpoint. And I do think this is actually the first time in Tranquility we are seeing Flashpoint, correct?
Well, this is the first week that it has been introduced. We have
Yes.
technically seen it in other matches that are featured earlier this week, including our match coming up tomorrow in the Discord tier, but more to come on that later. But yeah, we are going into New Junk City here in a moment. I'm expecting both these teams to come out on slightly safer brawl comps. I think either the Junker Queen or the Zarya. I think that's the safe choice, but again, we've seen the Ryan come out, so hey, maybe they surprised me a little bit. We saw a hog at this point. I think anything is going to surprise us.
Yeah, really. Who knows what Desert Flame wants to run here. But again, probably going to be expecting something along the lines of a brawl comp. Whether it is going to be that Junker Queen or it's going to be the Reinhardt or, whatever. We'll see, though. I do think Atlas, again, they're going to try and maybe go to that Zarya. Maybe they want to run the Ryan too, although I do think the Zarya has worked better. Actually, they're going to go to the Sigma, which on paper does pretty good against the Junker Queen. This first point's going to be a little tough, though, just because there's a lot of walls for Desert Flames comp to hold with this Junker Queen. They're able to kind of play behind the cover a lot better on first point. But for the rest of the map, I do think Alex Arcadia's comp's pretty good. There's a lot of open space, and there's a lot of points that actually do have pretty solid high grounds for the Sigma to get set up on with their team. But, I mean, again, like on paper, and actually we're going to see Desert Flame, they're going to go to the Reinhardt. But still, on paper, I do like Alex Arcadia's comp just because you're going to be able to get some good poke value, and the Bastion and the Mayor are going to be able to hold off Desert Flame's brawl from really getting into the fight. But we will see how this first point goes as we're going to get started here.
Yep, they're going to head out right now. Desert Flame, they are the ones that can control this pace a lot. They have the Reinhardt. They have the ability to move very quickly with each other. But right now, you're just seeing Atlas poking out little by little. They want to try Desert Flame to come into them and split them apart with this wall coming up. Right now, the point is going to unlock. Waiting for somebody to make the move to drop down and potentially put themselves in an exposed position, because right now, neither team is looking to drop. They want to find that first pick before they commit to anything. And we are at a little bit of a stalemate, waiting for the first team to make a mistake or somebody to find that lucky pick. And right now, I think what's scaring Desert Flame is this wall. Gallant has just refused to use this wall anymore. They want to save it, but we do see it come out for a moment, split them off, and it's just a checkmate right now. We are to see already having that window ready to go. The Rocket Ascend shrugs out of things for a moment, but it's actually Satsun that is going to be taken down first. Our Platinum with the 2K of their own. Alice Academy cleaning things up here. They're going to get that first cap on the point, and this is where the advantage really sinks in for Atlas, because now that they're settled in place, it's going to be very tough for Desert Flame to be able to run into this properly.
Yeah, and that little poke battle really does go on the side of Alex Arcadia, but what really helped them was they're able to get that window, and Desert Flame had their own. They tried to push in with it, kind of got countered by Onbo's window, but yeah, going into this next fight, they're set up pretty good. They're going to be able to play the defensive. They have their Gravitic Flux, and Trug6 does not have the beat for this fight, so we'll see how they want to take this. I mean, Sadsun does have the Earth Shatter. Maybe they can get one before Star Platinum's able to get off this Gravitic Flux, but I mean, it's going to be so hard to push into Atlas Arcadia's comp.
Yep, they're going to look for the combo. They're only going to find one. They might end up saving it, in fact. They're going to get rid of Sludge. Zasper not able to make a whole lot out of that Immortality Field. Satsun eventually going to burn up as well. Arcadia, they've got that 67% and counting. Desert Flame, losing the Lucio that late, I don't think they're going to be able to fully contest this point once more.
Yeah, I do want to give a little bit of a shout out there to Star Platinum. Hits a 180 rock onto the charging Reinhardt. Didn't really mean much in the grand scheme of things, but it looked really cool, so I gotta say that. Gallant has this mail up for this next fight. Desert Flame probably just doesn't even get a touch, just to be safe. You don't want to stagger yourself out here. Just play for the next point. And it's exactly what they're going to do. And this next point is going to favor Atlas Arcadia right now, just because they're going to be able to get a good rotation, get set up, and again, their comp's so good on these setups. But Gallant does have this mail. Desert Flame might be able to cut off Atlas Arcadia, and we might actually see a fight go down before they get to the point, but I do think they're just going to try and rotate out here.
Yeah, they're going to chase for a moment. Right now, Star Platinum just got to make the way over to the point. They no longer have the E, and in fact, it's going to be Sludge that's going to send in the ultimate first. A lot of people in the same location, the beat going to come out. Going to keep them alive temporarily, as Gallant is going to send in the free. Satsun going to be caught in it. There's no beat to keep them alive that time. Desert Flame going to get rolled down for the moment. Sensei just managed to find a pick, but Atlas is going to have the first cap here on the second point. This comp is working fantastically for them so far. I like the swap over to the Junker Queen instead of the Reinhardt, but it's the same problem. You have to make these comps faster, or elsewise you're just going to get poked out every fight.
Yeah, and Atlas Arcadia's comp is just so good, especially for kind of this playstyle they had. We saw in that first map, what their big struggle was is that they couldn't take tempo. They couldn't walk in. This Sigma, you don't really need to walk in. You could just sit there and poke for eternity, really, and just hold back Desert Flame, and I do think this is helping them out so much, and the window is going to come out. It's probably going to find a pick, but this huge blade comes out.
Yep, they found the one. Looking for that second. The follow-up is there for it. The boop going to keep them away from getting the third. But right now, it is Desert Flame that has the advantage on this fight, but they need to find that pick right now. Curly is very low, so is Gallant. Both are eventually going to be taken out. Star Platinum going to find some damage and some stall on their way out, bringing that up to 67%. Desert Flame finally managed to get some percentage on the point.
Yeah, and then going into this next fight, Atlas Arcadia is going to try and use this combo of the Bastion as well as the Gravitic Flux, but you're going to have to get it out before the Junker Queen ult comes out, along with the window. The window is probably just going to be able to build time for the Junker Queen, and then you're going to be able to build that ult just over time. I mean, it's only going to be 15% more at this point, but we want to see what Atlas Arcadia does here. If they can take a quick fight, they might be able to get two. They have that Lucio to get those rotations, but we'll see how they want to take this. They almost have the Gravitic Flux here, and we're going to be looking at this combo very soon.
Yep. I'm liking what Desert Flame is doing a little bit. It may seem weird being split up on a brawl style comp, but right now, it's forcing Alice to kind of reconsider who they want to chase after. It's really tough to full commit to anyone, and if you full commit to the Queen, it's a lot of damage, but Satsun can be brought up in the ult. They're dropping into hell right now, but Satsun going to survive for the moment, despite them getting rocked, despite them sitting down. It's Zasper that manages to keep them alive with that Immortality Field. It's Shrugs who needs the help right now, trying their best to stay alive. Satsun eventually going to drop anyway. Atlas taking over 70% and counting. And once again, they've died a little too late, and they are likely not going to get another contestant on this point.
It's very interesting because that combo doesn't really get to pick onto the Junker Queen. I mean, you use 2 ults to try and kill the Junker Queen, doesn't kill them, but it forces out the Immortality, gets Satsun extremely low, forces them to get off the point. Star Platinum's able to just sit there, cap the point essentially for free, and they were able to win that fight. But we are going to see Desert Flame, they're going to swap to the Sigma off the Junker Queen. I do think it's going to be helping them out a little bit more here, just because the Junker Queen, you're going to get poked out so much by the Sigma, and you're going to get mowed down by the Bash, and it's just so hard for you to walk in, and looks like Desert Flame are going to get the touch. They're going to get this point first just based on where their spawns were. Kind of unlucky. But, I mean, they're kind of set up pretty good. They have this overclock if they are able to get a good angle set up. But Atlas Arcadia, they have both support ults as well as this mail ult still. So, I mean, it's looking pretty good for them as well. They're going to you could probably get the window set up on this high ground and kind of force Desert Flame away from a lot of the space and then try and take over the point with that mail. But we'll see what they want to do here.
Yep, it's up to them, but they want to try to force this touch. It looks like they are attempting to force it for the moment. It's barely there, but they let it go through, unfortunately. I don't think that was fully a part of the plan, but they still have a really good opportunity to set things out. Star Platinum found first in the freeze, sending out the beat. The wall does come off, and it does cut off Satsun from the beat. So it is going to be 4-4 right now. It's down to Sludge right now to try to find some picks with the overclock. Nothing found. And in fact, it's Desert Flame that is trying to take the advantage on this fight. Gallant finding one of their own, but eventually it's just too much damage. Atlas burning away the rest of the members. Only going to be about 40-something%. Make that 42. That's a decent amount for not using, pretty much only using the 2 ultimates, but still, it's a good percentage to start out with, but you gotta make something happen here.
Exactly, and Atlas Arcadia, they have this Bastion that's going to be able to stall a lot of time, but they don't really have anything else after that, so it's looking very good for Desert Flame. But we also have to look at Gallant had a huge May wall in the middle of that fight, and it looks like they're going to be able to force out of this position. I'll cut off my thoughts here, see how this first fight goes. The Bastion might be huge if they push into this little room.
Yep, they're going to have to use that Immortality Field in this before this, very likely. We're going to see the first one, I believe that guy, did that get eaten away by Satson? Am I correct on
Maybe.
that?
I think so.
Well, we'll definitely look into that a little bit later as we see the wall going to cut Satson off for the moment. It is not going to get rid of them though. The Immortality Field is going to be forced out, but that window is nice and ready to go. Zasper beaming away for the moment, not finding anybody at this particular moment, but it is forcing people to back up, and that damage coming through is unreal as the rest of Atlas likely going to be torn apart one by one here. Aqua eventually falls down. Atlas, though, is going to be able to solve it likely all the way to that 99, so they're going to be within that one-fight territory of taking away this map. So Desert Flame with their backs against the wall, but they might have the ultimates to pull this through.
Yeah, and by Atlas Arcadia playing so far up, they're able to extend that fight just because they're able to slowly give up space rather than just kind of falling apart or giving Desert Flame a lot of space early on. So it's a very good hold by them. And now you're going into this next fight. You have the Gravitic Flux, you have the Mail. You're even with what Desert Flame has. Desert Flame is going to be getting closer to the beat, and they might be able to find the Snap T off. Nope, he drops out, and here comes the Gravitic Flux.
Yeah, the Flux is going to go find one member in the back. The Immortality Field is going to come out for the moment. The beat going to come out, but they get kept in the air. Aqua managed to find 2 with the freeze following up. No matter how hard they fought, Atlas had an answer throughout this entire map thus far, trying to find some picks on the side. Zasper's still alive. Sludge trying to stay with them, but they're being pushed off this point, bullied away. Atlas Arcadia trying to stop this last little touch from going through. It's not going to. Atlas Arcadia take that 3-0, a rather decisive win over here on New Junk City, and now they're on match point.
Yeah, and really, again, it comes down to this comp choice, and that's kind of been a huge part of this entire series. It comes down to what you're running. And they're obviously, both teams are running their comps very good, but Sigma playing against Junker Queen's a very good matchup for the Sigma just because you're able to do so much poke damage, and that's a huge pick, cancels the beat, and then able to mow down that Sigma. But, you know, it was a very good map for Atlas. They did so many things well, got a lot of value from some of these ults. They probably didn't get as much value from some of the ults as they wanted. Some of these fluxes kind of only hit one player. You've used some combos on one player rather than kind of splitting them up or getting a lot of people in an ult combo, but they're able to still win those fights just because they force out so many resources with these ults, and overall it's been looking very good. Like specifically this fight, like they use that combo and they force out the immortality, and they don't get a pick, but they're able to get so much space off of it. And overall though, it was a very good map for them. It did so good, especially in these mid fights too, able to clean up very, very well. But very interested to see what the rest of this series is going to look like. I do believe our next map type will be push, so we could see the Sigma comps again. I do think some of the brawlier favored comps are going to be a little bit better on push just because you have to keep somebody on point at all times rather than just being able to cap point and set up on a high ground. But I mean, who knows? We probably could still see the Sigma. I don't think Sigma's that bad. I think he's a very good character, especially if you can get onto a point that's got some pretty good high ground that you can get set up on. But it's going to be based on what Desert Flame wants. Maybe they're going to go to New Queen Street, and maybe you want to run the brawler comp. Maybe you want to try and take that brawly duel. But I do think that's got a lot of good high ground as well. I mean, Esperanza has kind of 2 main high grounds around that first. I mean, it's got a lot of really good high grounds in general, so very good point for Sigma. I don't know if you want to take the Sigma duel, especially just because of how comfortable Star Platinum seems to be onto it. But Coliseo, another one that has 2 main high grounds. I mean, really all these push maps are going to be very dangerous to play into the Sigma, and it looks like Desert Flame's going to be actually sending us over to New Queen Street. So this is a pretty good map for these brawl comps, and I do think it probably is the best if you're going to be thinking about running brawl into a Sigma comp, just because there are different ways to play around the high grounds, right? And kind of the main one, the main area where the bot starts in the beginning of the game, the middle, right? there's kind of that main high ground everybody knows. You have kind of that little tunnel, and then you have the main where there's all of the rest of the map where you can get booped off and stuff like that. And that's kind of the one that most teams kind of play for initially. And you can get a brawl comp and you can just kind of run through that Sigma. It's going to be very good for you. But, I mean, I do think the Sigma could still work. We will see what Alex Arcadia wants to run here. I don't think they're going to go for that Zarya, seeing as that Sigma just did so good, unless you are going to be, you know, facing the danger of a Junker Queen comp and you don't feel like you can counter the Junker Queen comp any other way. Although I do think Sigma is still very, very good, and especially Star Platinum's been very good on it. If they can keep running the Bastion May as well, it seems to be very comfortable for them. Overall, all of these push maps were going to be very good for them anyway. Do think New Queen Street might play a little bit better into the brawlier comps. Desert Flame might want to try. But we also didn't really see them take the Sigma duel for the entire map. We only saw it for that one point, and at that point, Alex Arcadia had already gotten the momentum from it. They've gotten the ult cycles going. They were a little bit more comfortable on it at that point. So we'll see if Desert Flame wants to match the Sigma initially. Maybe they are good at it as well, and we only got to see it just for a little bit. But see what they want to start out on. Obviously, there's a lot of different things you could do, especially when you're thinking of brawlier comps, a lot of different tank choices. Maybe we'll see the Reinhardt again from the side of Desert Flame, and maybe we'll see Alex Arcadia. Maybe they want to do that Sigma comp again, but we will see very shortly what these teams are going to roll out on.
Well, yeah, it's the Sigma mirror. It's really not too surprising considering how that last map just went down. Our Atlas at this point is very confident to try to run it. Desert Flame realizes that there's not a whole lot they can run to be able to counter it, so honestly, this is very favorable towards Atlas in that regard. This is Atlas's choice on comp, and it's Desert Flame that has to kind of play into it and match it up. So honestly, Desert Flame, they have to be able to outplay them on this team's own comp, and that's going to be very difficult to pull off.
Yeah, especially because Alex Arcadia just might be more practiced on it, seeing as that is something that they rolled out on, and we're going to see a complete mirror. So it's looking good for Alex Arcadia. We'll see how this first fight goes, though, because that's going to be very telling, and it looks like Desert Flame's going to be able to get this high ground first.
Yep, very important to take over the high ground temporarily. Star Platinum going to be in a weird position for a moment, the wall cutting them off, but it is going to work out for the moment with that wall making sure to stop the rock. But it is not going to stop Aqua from going down. As a matter of fact, Desert Flame wants to try to run down some more of these members. They want to force more than just one. They want to make sure they can win this fight decisively. The rock trying to hit them, getting so low, but Curly managed to find the 2K boot. That fight is shut down right in its place. And just like that, Atlas going to run down the last couple of members of Desert Flame, doing a good job keeping each other up. But right now, they're in such weird positions, it's hard to really make anything of it. They're going to get wiped away. Curly, that 2K boop, saving the fight for them, and they're going to be starting out with some progress here.
Yeah, great kite by Alex Arcadia, able to set up that boop on the DPS, and Curly's just been huge with a lot of these boops throughout this entire series, especially the one that we look back on with the Orisa ult coming out of Star Platinum, able to find the picks, and it looks like Star Platinum's going to be able to force out Sensei right now. He's very, very split from the rest of his team. And it looks like they're just going to be sitting there. They're going to be able to get out Alex Arcadia. They're going to have the window for this next fight. It's going to be the first ult on the board from either of these teams. And Aqua is going to find the pick on a Sludge.
Yeah, Sludge already gone. A lot of that damage already taken care of. Right now, they just need to find the damage to be able to bring in. But right now, Desert Flame, they're just getting run over right now. They managed to find the pick over onto Curly. But that's not going to do a whole lot for you right now. They've been wiped off the map. Atlas about to likely get this butt scratch for free. And we're only 2 minutes in. They're already unlocking that checkpoint. Desert Flame, I don't know what you do at this point. You're not having a lot of favor matching. You have to make full use of these ults, or else maybe you just have to force the swap.
Yeah, I mean, Atlas Arcadia is just going to have more ults going into this next fight. They're going to be able to get their rotation quicker than Desert Flame can. But Desert Flame, they have the window. They have the Gravitic Flux. This window is going to probably be able to force out some key abilities, and we are going to see it. But Atlas Arcadia might be able to just kite.
Yeah, that will going to come out for a moment. They are going to cut it out at the end of the day. It is the right call. Atlas can honestly play pretty aggressive with either the Flux or with the Freeze, and it's going to be the Flux finding a member for a moment, but it's Satsune who's actually found two of their own. Finally, Desert Flame looking like they're going to come up away with this fight very shortly. Just need to burn away what is left of Star Platinum, who's being kept up very well right now. Eventually, though, is going to burn away. And despite that being the case, that is going to be a big stall, so we're to see how many members actually end up getting this good spawn.
We'll see. I don't know if the Baptiste is going to get it, so that's going to be a little unfortunate. Yeah, we don't see the Baptiste or the May get it, so they're going to just have to kite out right here. Hopefully, Alex Arcadia does not get staggered, or else it's going to be looking very bad for them. It looks like they are going to get out. Alex Arcadia still has a lot of ults for this next fight. Desert Flame only has the beat. They have the May ult too. try and counter this. We'll see what they want to do with the beat here. Could be used to counter really any of these ults, or maybe you want to match the beat on the side of Curly. We'll see what they want to do here. This mail from Sensei is going to have to be huge, though, if you want to be able to keep pushing right here.
Yeah, you're going to see Gallant send out the mail. They're going to send over the Mortar Strike on top of it. Sensei going to find one, but Aqua has found two of their own instead. So that fight falling back into the favor of Atlas. And in fact, they're going to throw their own Mortar Strike on top of it. It's not going to find anybody, but Sludge does manage to find their own pick. It is now the 3v3 Sludge trying to find another. They want to make this fight their own. They don't want to let Atlas bring this back around. Trying to get rid of Gallant, managing to pull that off. Trying to get rid of Anbo in the process. In fact, they're just trying to get any progress at all right now to make sure they can stay alive in the process. Anbo down. Atlas is going to have to slowly back out here while Desert Flame finally is going to start getting some more progression.
Yeah, Desert Flame, they're going to have the window for this next fight. Going to hopefully be able to build up that Gravitic Flux as well. And Alex Arcadia does not have anything for this next fight. So we'll see how they want to take this. But it looks like Alex Arcadia is getting split in these mid-fights, and that's just hurting them. Because, you know, some of these players are just getting picked. Like that window we thought would be able to kind of help them sustain, but, you know, they get picked off. And the window's going to come out early on the side of Desert Flame's going to force Atlas Arcadia back. But Star Platinum has an angle right here.
Yep. And they do have to maybe try to force a touch here right now. It is at that 1, that 2. And in fact, they do get it for that moment. They are going to have that butt scratch. So even if they were to lose this fight right now, everyone should likely get a good spawn. But right now, Desert Flame doesn't want to do this. They want to get that last little bit of percentage. But right now, Sensei dying, that's going to cut you off from that wall. The Flux going to be brought up. Finding one member, the Immortality Field is going to keep them alive, though. So ultimately, going to be a bit useless in that regard, especially with Sludge dropping. And this is the bad part right here. Desert Flame is dying off the point. They're basically staggering themselves out. So only half of the team is likely going to get this good spawn. So Atlas are going to be able to get all the way back to the checkpoint on this next fight.
Yeah, I mean, very good fight for Atlas. They're able to kind of survive through some of these ults Desert Flame was able to throw out there. But, you know, going into this next one, Bastional along with the window, and you're going to be getting your good spawns back because here's your bot right now. So it's looking very good for them. Desert Flame only has this this beat for the next fight, and it's probably going to be used to counter one of these. You might be able to counter the window if you just beat and walk through it. See what they want to do here, and it looks like they're just going to beat and just walk.
Yeah, early beat right now. They want to be able to walk through this. They're going to do so, negate it for the most part. Anbo being taken out first, but Aqua managed to find two of their own. They kind of turn a little bit and take their eyes off of the focus they're trying to find. Sensei low right now, trying to find the fault. They need to find the picks. They have managed to find the most important one they can find. Sludge with the follow-up right there. A tiny bit of stall coming through, but ultimately going back over on the side of Desert Flame. They end up using a couple of very key ultimates going to that fight, but it's necessary. It's what you have to do to get this back on their side.
I mean, yeah, really, you did trade. I mean, you traded B essentially for a window, and then you also swapped the Bastionals. But very good fight for Desert Flame, though. They looked very good. They were able to. They just walked in decisively. That looked very good for them. Very good showing. And now you have this mail. If you can do the same kind of idea with the mail, you walk in fast and get, you know, just catch Atlas Arcadia off guard. It might be very good. The window's going to be forced. Oh, and a lot of ults are going to come out.
Yeah, a lot of ults. The Freeze is going to come out, but ultimately the biggest thing, Sludge gets caught in it, and so does Satson. That's pretty much going to end the fight right then and there. The window not going to be so much use in the end, but they are actually going to stall on card this time a little bit, so a majority should be able to get the good spawns and be able to take a relatively fast contest in the air. But both teams looking even so far. Like, it's, oh, well, what's even now is the pause, as we see a pause over on the side of Desert Flame. We're going to find out what's going on over there, but this gives us an opportunity to kind of talk about what these two teams have done so far, because we talked about how Atlas kind of had the advantage going into this map, seeing as how they forced Desert Flame to kind of match that Sigma comp instead. But right now, Desert Flame is turning this back around. I think the biggest thing right now is ult usage. I think that right now, Atlas Arcadia is doing a good job at balancing those ultimates, and Desert Flame sometimes is using them perhaps too late into fights, and it ends up being either wasted or you end up using it as cleanup. And I think that's the distinct difference at the moment.
Yeah, overall, it has been very, very close. It's just been some of those small things too have been kind of the difference maker. I mean, we look, it's not a very big difference in terms of meters. It's like, what, 11 meter difference at this point? That's like not even a fight, really. And I mean, it's been very good from both these sides. And we did expect Alex Arcadia would be a little bit more dominant on this comp, but Desert Flame has shown that, you know, they're able to compete with it, and you know, they've been pretty good. Yeah, you did say it, and as you did say, some of these alt usages could be a little bit better, could be a little bit cleaner. But I mean, they've looked very, very good, and very interested to see. I do think they've been getting some more value out of certain ults. Like, I think the way they've been using beat has been very good sometimes, and I think they're actually been able to build it pretty fast. Specifically, I really like kind of just used beat and walked in before Atlas Arcadia was really able to do anything, and just able to find the picks too before they could really be punished for it. And some of these gravitic fluxes I think have also been very good on the side of Satsun, has been able to, you know, get some pretty good picks. Although I would say, I mean, both of these Sigma players have been just isolating the Bastion a lot of the times with their gravitic flux, whether that's just because that's the only one they can hit or that's like a specific target they want to look for. Kind of dependent on what they are seeing, and obviously as a Sigma player it's not going to be very easy to hit the gravitic flux, especially because both sides have been doing a very good job at kiting some of these ults, right? Alex Arcadia has also done a very good job at just kiting every ult, not just gravitic fluxes. But looks like we are going to be heading back in here, and was Sludge that disconnected. I don't think they had their ult, but they did have some percent, and you just kind of lose that. It's kind of unfortunate, but Desert Flame, they're going to have the gravitic flux soon. Alex Arcadia is going to be able to get it first though, so we'll see. Maybe they want to try and use it fast. Maybe they want to get value very quickly here before Desert Flame's able to build their ults.
Yeah, but right now Satsun getting desperately close on that. They're going to have a couple members caught up in that, but the Immortality Field is going to keep them alive for the time being. Satsun likely using to throw this right back. The rock's out, so he definitely has a very free opportunity to use it if they're looking for it. And in fact, it's going to find 3 people right there. The Immortality Field is going to be used on their side now. So now it evens up in that regard. A lot of people low, and they're going to send out the window, try to burn away some of these members. It's doing a lot of damage. Sludge is the first one to find one pick of their own, trying desperately to stay alive. And right now, it's Atlas that needs to come together, find a pick coming out here. I mean, good job stalling out this car regardless, and you're forcing more ultimates out of Atlas in this process right now. Star Platinum eventually going to drop, and likely the rest of them are going to fall directly after as well. Desert Flame getting away with only really using that flux right now. Atlas, though, they use the window, they use the mortar strike. They just have that freeze going into this next fight. This might be the chance for Desert Flame to take the lead here.
Yeah, the only saving grace of Star Platinum is getting very close to that gravitic flux again, but we are going to see the window come out early. It's going to try and force a fight here. Maybe they're going to be able to find some picks.
That's pretty far back, all things considered right now. Is going to force them to kind of play it cool, play it back. The good spawn is going to come through, and it's really going to come down, I think, down to Zensei with this freeze. They're going to try to catch members. Both people are going to get caught. The beat's going to come out on the side of Desert Flame, going to keep them alive for the time being. Aqua gets low, eventually caught out. Star Platinum trying to be the saving grace of this team over on the side, but I think they're just going to be burnt way over there. Perhaps you kind of leave them on their own and stagger them out a little bit, but it looks like they find that pick, and now Desert Flame taking over the lead, and they're going to get a lot of meterage here before Atlas brings the fight.
Yeah, and that was actually a very good window on the side of Desert Flame, able to kind of force them back. And when you look at the situation, too, where you're at a huge ult advantage, you're able to use that ult, even if it is pretty far back, because you are able to force them into that spot. You're able to push up the bot basically that entire way for free. And we are going to see Sludge just getting dangerously low, forces the Immortality out.
Yep, we are going to see, there is no combo ready to go. Aqua didn't quite have it in time, but you are going to force the Immortality Field, and now Desert Flame has the combo if they so want to try to use it. The window going to be coming out first. Going to force Onbo into the corner now. Right now, it's Satsun that's going to go for the combo, going to hide around, managing to force out the beat as well. Trying to stay alive to the best of their ability. Sludge eventually dropping. We are tied up 4-4, but Atlas is going to have the closer respawns. They should. Sensei getting desperately low. A lot of members getting desperately low indeed. It's down to Desert if they want to try to invest here to make this happen, but I think you really just want to stall this out and save these ults for the next fight, and that looks like that's what they're going for here.
Yeah, it's such a big fight from both these teams. They both invest a lot, but Desert Flame at the end there, they kind of hold back knowing that you really only need to win one more fight at this point. We are going to see this last fight in overtime, and really, yeah, it is only one fight. Atlas Arcadia is only going to have one ult here. They have the Mail. I mean, you might be able to use it to stall out to maybe you build your gravitic flux, but Desert Flame is just at the advantage here. They're going to be able to get the beat probably, you know, during this mid-fight. Going to maybe be able to build the Mail too. We'll see. Probably going to use the window early. Going to try and build time for these ults to come online, but we'll see what Gallant wants to do with this May freeze. It looks like they're going to try and walk in right now. Yep,
the freeze is going to come in. It's trying to catch members that eventually is going to find one. Make that two. Eventually, they're just going to be wiped off the map. I'm slightly confused by Desert Flame looking to commit hard there. I think they could have played that a little bit safer or acted just slightly quicker, but they are going to use that window, and now it is going to come down to this final fight coming up here.
Yeah, and they are going to get another fight here, so they really only had to use the window there, forced out the Mail. It's a pretty good trade for you, especially seeing as Atlas Arcadia only has one other ult online. But see, Desert Flame has to get some value out of these ults. This is going to be a pretty big Bastion ult if they're able to find a pick or maybe get this Immortality Field.
You have the Beat going to come out, trying to keep Satsun alive. They're getting desperately low. They got to keep them alive to the best of their ability, trying to find the burn. Sensei, though, is going to be the first one to fall over on their side, trying to stop the bleeding as much as they can. Satsun trying to survive to the best of their ability. The shield, though, not going to be able to keep them alive. No more ultimates on the side of Desert Flame. Atlas Academy stands tall, and they will win the series 3-1.
Yeah, very good last fight there on the side of Atlas Arcadia. It looks like Desert Flame just got a little bit too greedy with some of these ults. They just tried to stack them all at once, and Atlas Arcadia was able to survive. And, you know, just they were able to sustain them, right? The Bastional was able to force out the immortality, and then they were able to kite out the Mail and just able to, you know, pocket, you know, the main players, right? Especially Star Platinum got a little bit low, but didn't die. So you would have liked to see them maybe set up your ultimates a little bit better. Might have set you up better for that fight. Maybe you see Desert Flame. I mean, they had the ults. It looked like they got a little bit too aggressive with them. Maybe they were like, oh, we have 4 ults, we can just use all of them right now and we're gonna win. But Atlas Arcadia, they did a really good job at surviving, and you know, I didn't really see how good the Gravitic Flux was, but it had to be done something, I would imagine. So I mean, very good fight from them. Really good map from both teams, though. We got to see that Sigma style in a mirror, and it looked like Atlas Arcadia was, you know, on the back foot there, because you had to get that extra like 30 meters. You had to go across the entire map, and you were at such a huge ult disadvantage. But very good plays by them, able to keep them in that and able to win the series too. Able to take that map. Very impressive from them.
Yeah, very impressive. And I think it came down to, like, they just managed to stay calm. I think that was the biggest thing. They knew what they were good at going into this map. It might have been the pick of Desert Flame, but the ability to force somebody to play a certain comp is one of the strongest things in Overwatch. Forcing somebody to play your game, that is exactly what you want. Your coach is going to be clapping in the spectator section, because that is exactly what you want to force these teams to do. And we got it, like you said, we give credit to Atlas, or to Desert Flame, who managed to almost make that comp their own. They took advantage there at the very end. I just think it was a slight lack of patience that ended up costing them in the end. Using that window very early into that previous engagement, I imagine if they would have had that for the next fight coming up, we could be at a completely different story right now. We'd be going to map 5 potentially, but at the end of the day, it's what could have been. So all credit to these teams going through. We should look back at the score line. Hey, Desert Flame started strong, but hey, Atlas is the higher record team for a reason, only losing 1 match earlier in stage 1, so they've definitely shown why that's the case here today.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good series, though. Obviously, looking at that first map, it's going to be, you know, we did think it maybe would have gone the way of Desert Flame. They looked very good on 2 of the points, and then it really came down to just comps, right? It really came down to the differences in comps, and that's kind of why Atlas Arcadia was able to win Flashpoint, why Desert Flame was able to win, you know, the first map choice. And, I mean, overall, it's really what it came down to. And then going into this last map, we got to see a mirror. Atlas Arcadia might have just been more practiced on it. They were definitely a lot more calm, able to make that a huge comeback and able to win that map type. And they were able to take the series. Very good plays by both sides, though.
Yeah, I'm definitely impressed by both of these sides. You said to yourself at the very beginning, you thought both of these teams were very talented. After seeing these 4 maps, I definitely have to agree with you. I think these are both 2 very strong teams, and they are in that seed pool. So regardless of how good or bad things go, they are going to have decent seeding regardless. But still, you want to try to be as high of a seed as possible. Try to play the weaker opponents as much as you possibly can to try to make it into that championship bracket. But I don't know. This gives them a good time to refocus. I think Desert Flame could still go in with some really good momentum into the next couple of matches, but it's Atlas that stands tall here today, and you got to give them a good round of applause. But hey, that really is it here for today. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. That's going to be it for us here today. Remember, tomorrow we have the Discord feature match happening tomorrow, same time, so make sure you come around for that. And of course, Telm on my right, thank you so much for coming out. Our producer in the back, Hippy, you are the greatest. I know it. You know it. But thank you guys so much for coming out, and we'll see you next time. Peace.